Eileen makes her way to the giant's address. After finding the hidden key, Eileen gets inside to find a weird empty apartment and the phrase, "The riddance of evil must be thorough," written on the bedroom wall and the red string on the nightstand. But there's someone at the door, a man with the same red string. He looked ready to kill her until she made lots of noise disturbing the neighbor and scaring the man away. Charles is at home making churros when he gets a call. It's Yuan who tells him that his father is still in the hospital with unchanged conditions. Yuan mentions that another boss has been assassinated, the leader of the Golden Committee. Charles still thinks it's Sleepy Chan working with these red ribbon people. Charles asks to have Blood Boots and Xing to come to LA and also to hand a white lantern to discuss peace terms with Sleepy Chan face to face here in LA. Charles meets with Alexis at a restaurant and while eating spicy food. And he makes fun of her for being on the wrong side of the law. She tells him she can clear out his enemies without any violence, but only if he tells her who those people are at the club. But he says no. Charles gets a call from Eileen, who's worried about Bruce because he's not answering calls or texts. She gets him to help her with some passive-aggressive mom methods, so he leaves the lunch. Charles gets the recipe of the churros and meets his mom at the college. They talk to a professor who tells them Bruce didn't come to class that day. They also meet Grace, who tells them about the tattooed woman pushing him into a van. Eileen asked about a crane tattoo and she was right. She knows who took Bruce and how to find him. Bruce is tied up with TK by June, who cracks TK's thumbs because of what happened to her sister May. Charles and Eileen make their way to the Mahjong Club. She tells him this is basically a network of spies that know everything about everyone. They play a game and learn the drugs are coming into the city through Tony Tang and his boats that bring in fish for his seafood restaurant. June is hitting Bruce, asking to tell her where to find Charles, and she breaks him with threatening to tattoo a penis on his face. So he tells her an address and she lets him go. Charles tells his mom to stay in the car and he walks into the restaurant, but she doesn't listen and goes in the front door, sits down, and asks to speak to the owner. Tony Tang comes over and offers her free food, but when she lets slip about the drugs, he asks her to follow him. She sees the whole operation as she walks by and they make their way into the office. That's when she sees Charles fighting some men on the security camera. She distracts him enough and walks out with her food, and Charles is waiting with the location, and she tells him to bring Bruce home. Back with Bruce, he had lied to her about the address, so they have 30 minutes before she comes back. TK also admits about telling the cops and June where to find Bruce, but there is no time, so they have to escape. But June is back so soon. She tells him she knew he lied, but Bruce noticed her tattoo drawings and admires her tattoos. She tells him her parents died when they were 10, and they got so good at fighting people paid them for protection. Bruce comforts her, but she is hell-bent on revenge and wants to know where to find Charles. She is about to tattoo his forehead when she hears something and leaves. It's Charles, standing there waiting for her. He asks for his brother, but she can keep TK. She pulls out a knife, he picks up a wrench. Neither are going to back down. Charles changes to a steel pipe, and as they are about to fight, a chair rolls between them, and Bruce runs out yelling motivation. He explains that they have a common enemy in Sleepy Chan, and they have to team up rather than fight, so they agree. All four of them walk into the safe house, and Eileen is very happy to see Bruce. She tells them about how she got the house and takes care of Bruce's wounds, while Charles looks on with envy. Eileen makes food, and they all sit and eat on the table together. June tells Eileen to be careful with Bruce because he's getting too confident now. Eileen then gives Bruce permission to keep doing improv if he promises to focus on his schoolwork. As they wash the dishes, Charles and Bruce talk about the situation, and they both want it to be over. And Charles tells Bruce that he is tougher than expected. Eileen calls Charles over, and June tells them about a man who got a tattoo of a phrase on his arm, "The riddance of evil must be through." The same writing on the wall of the giant's apartment. Charles is still stuck on Sleepy Chan. Eileen already found Sleepy Chan's man in Ella, Tony Tang. She found out about him being a big player, acting like an idiot. June volunteers to take care of Tony, and to make it so big that Sleepy Chan has no choice but to show up and talk to the family. Charles calls Alexis and tells her about the seafood restaurant. She shows up with cops and finds Tony brutally murdered, with his hands and feet cut off and packed in a box. But the cop on the case is the man with the slogan tattoo who tried to kill Eileen. Everyone is at the dinner table with Xing and Blood Boots, who have arrived from Taiwan. Blood Boots is telling a story about how Eileen handled a tense gang deal with grace and confidence. Charles has even more respect for her now. Eileen is ready to talk business, so she tells Bruce to sit by the TV, but Charles thinks he is ready to be a part of the conversation. She also kicks out TK along with Bruce. Xing tells everyone that Sleepy Chen and his son Drowsy Li are coming to meet. The meeting of triads is called a square. Violence is forbidden in a square, but Charles still isn't ruling out the chances of violence. Xing is worried about Eileen's safety, but Eileen is going no matter what. Bruce suggests Kaspa, which would be perfect for the meeting. TK has connections in that area, so he can make sure things stay cool there. Blood Boots is sent to look after Bruce at school. Janet is still refusing to let Bruce pay, but Blood Boots pays for 3 semesters, to which shocks Bruce and Janet, and she accepts. Bruce and Blood Boots are walking and talking, and he tells Bruce to make the choice for himself because he's confused about whether to go or not to go to the meeting. They run into Grace, and she tells Bruce about his family coming by the other day. And Blood Boots is weirdly doing stretches in public, and they want to hang out with each other more. And he invites her to his improv show. Alexis and Mark find some of those red ribbons, and a QR code is on the beads. It doesn't work on her phone, so it has to work on the criminals' phones. So Mark gave her the phone and took her snacks. The phone is locked, so she takes it to unlock using the dead guy, but she's being followed. Charles and TK go to meet with the K-Town boss. TK tries to flex his connections, but the boss reveals he only agreed to the meeting to show respect for the Jade Dragons. But they're not alone. In comes Drowsy Li, and they get catty with Charles. Both give the boss money, and he accepts to let them have the meeting on his turf, but he wants human collateral to keep them from ruining his area, so Charles gives them TK. On their way out, Drowsy tells Charles that Sleepy agrees to all the terms except one. Eileen is fixing her outfit when Charles comes in and tells her the news. Sleepy Chen agrees with everything except one. He doesn't want a woman to be, then said of the historic meeting. Eileen is clearly not happy as she walks out. Charles and his team have shots as they prepare for the meeting. Charles got them a spot at an exclusive club, but everyone wants to go to the improv show to support Bruce instead. Everyone except Eileen. Everyone is at the show and Bruce walks out with his team. It starts, everyone is enjoying the show, and it's Bruce's turn, and he performs, but Charles is still not smiling. After the show, Blood Boots and Xing congratulate him on the show, when Tyler comes by and offers him a spot on the official team and to come to do a show the next morning. Grace is also there, and he invites her to come to the club. They're all dancing at the club, and Bruce sits down with Charles, who is still looking pensive. Charles tells him to be less selfish and to do his part for the family. That's when Grace takes Bruce and they have a great time dancing together. She asks him about his family, but he steers away from it. Charles calls Alexis, but gets her voicemail, but she texts back immediately. She stops when they call her in. Outside the club, they are about to have some food, and Blood Boots tells Bruce they only party like this in case one of them doesn't survive the meeting tomorrow. Eileen tells Charles to kill Sleepy Chen if he is responsible for shooting Big Sun. At the morgue, Alexis is looking for the body of the gang member who had the phone. She finds the guy, but the coroner had the fingers somewhere else, and they find the correct finger for the phone. Alexis sees the secured network messages, and the mysterious gang want to infiltrate the meeting and kill both sides. She calls Mark and tells him about the meeting at the spa. In the parking lot, someone tries to kidnap her, but she gets away by putting spicy Korean chips on his face. Everyone is at the spa dressed in orange shirts and shoes. Charles tells Blood Boots to take care of Bruce and Eileen in case anything goes wrong in the meeting. Someone kidnaps Bruce as they walk up the stairs. Drowsy tells them only Chalries can go in, and they notice that Bruce is gone. Drowsy has him and uses him to keep Charles under control, and hands him a phone. Charles walks into a room and talks on the phone. Bruce is on the other side in the same room as Sleepy Chen. He hands him a cigarette and Charles tells Bruce to accept it. Sleepy starts talking, but Bruce doesn't understand Mandarin enough to translate perfectly. Sleepy tells them they all have a common enemy, Luo Luo, and they need to fight together. Then suddenly, 2 people pop out of the sand pits behind Sleepy Chen and stab him to death. Charles hears the noise and runs out to find his brother, but everyone guarding him are also dead. Charles manages to get in time and tells Bruce to run. Charles fights both the assassins, and Bruce makes it to Blood Boots, who is also fighting other assassins. Charles was fighting them when Drowsy came to help and told him they are not his men. Bruce is busy trying to get away from one assassin while everyone is taking down multiple men. Charles and Drowsy leave one alive to question, but he tries to run away. Drowsy catches him and unmasks him, but he only says one thing: the riddance of evil must be through, and pulls out a grenade, blowing up himself and Drowsy in the process. Charles is alive and escapes with injuries. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.